Welcome. This is Spotlight. I'm Pastor Dan. We've been doing last day events from the millennium. That God has to put these firewalls up to be sure that we never have another Satan. Every question has to be answered. We've talked about what heaven is like. We've talked about Jesus coming and then what happens to the people who don't choose him. Let's spend a little time today on what happens during the 1,000 years. We're in heaven. You made it. You're on the list, and you begin to see your family, your friends, your siblings, some of your church family. You begin to get together. You made it. You made it. And we're looking for some other people, and there's some computer lists, and we're looking and trying to find all of our people. We're going to do 1,000 years together. There's nothing like that feeling. It's going to be amazing. And then comes the first worship service that's just going to be unbelievable, the great music. And Jesus is there. God the Father is there. We get to see him in person. And we're all there together. People have come from all over the universe, and here we are doing worship together. But one day you're walking into the church, and in front of you there's Jerry Springer. And you say, did you see Jerry Springer is here? What is Jerry Springer doing here? And you go to God and say, God, do you know what Jerry Springer did down there? He had been a pastor. Look at the show he put on television. He put the worst people in the world and puts them on the air. There are people stripping off their clothes, and they slept with everybody. God, you cannot, there's no way Jerry Springer is supposed to be here. And then you see the Godfather. God, the Godfather's here? Mafia, God? Do you know how many people they killed? God, do you know? And they got people on heroin. They got people on cocaine. These are terrible people, God. They have no right to be in heaven. And then there's Jeffrey Dahmer, guy in Milwaukee. Killed somebody, sliced them up, and froze them in his refrigerator. The story went out that he had become a Christian while he was in jail. Sure. He doesn't want to have to spend the rest of his life in jail, so he thinks he'll get off if he's a Christian. But he's in heaven. I said, God, do you know what he did, God, this guy? And God says, look at the books. And it turns out that every one of them gave their life to Jesus. Every one of them had their sins forgiven, and they were transformed, and they were like Jesus. And they're amazing, beautiful, incredible people, and you are thrilled that you get to do heaven with these people because they're all forgiven. And we're all equal in Jesus. We all made it because of Jesus. All those questions get answered. And then all of a sudden you're looking around, and let's say the leader of our church isn't there, the president of our church. God, this guy was like a saint, God. This guy was the best we had. He's the leader of our church. He got on a plane and flew all over the world to preach and to open up buildings and churches. And God, we elected him. He was the best we had. How can he not be here, God? God said, yeah, he did a lot of good. He surely did. But he began to be proud. He began to kind of think he was the number one Christian in the world. And he quit relying on Jesus and Jesus alone. Okay, God. And one by one, we begin to bow before God and say, okay, looks like you got that one right. And we spend 1,000 years with these people together. We become community. All the pain of the past and the people we lost begin to fade into the distant memory. People who came to heaven, they only knew a little bit of God, but they followed that little bit of God. Now they begin to catch up, and they're with us, and now they know Jesus. We have studied every question. We've flown all over the universe. We've had every pleasure in the world, and we come to the end of the 1,000 years. Every sense is tingling. We are filled with joy and love with God. And every question has been answered. we're ready for what's next. This is Spotlight. See you next time. Thank you for watching Spotlight. We're so excited about this. We hope that you'll subscribe and so you'll get all of them. And please just forward it on to others and tell other people about it. And let's just see what kind of an audience we can get for these messages of Spotlight. God bless you.